Recording in progress.
Good evening. This is Monday, May 20th, meeting of the Town of Guilford Board of Finance. First order of business is public forum, limited to 3 minutes on any agenda item. Is there anybody wishing to address the board? Anybody on Zoom? Hearing none, we'll move on. Item number 2, approve the minutes of the regular meeting of April the 15th, 2024. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any corrections?
I'm not so sure if it's a correction, but on page 3, about halfway down, right before number 5, I'm just wondering if we want to put the comment from Ms. Trudeau ahead of the vote, or if it took place after the vote. I can't recall what the sequence was, but I just didn't know. Right before number 5, towards the bottom of the page, where we have the...
Oh, before the vote?
Yeah.
I don't recall either.
I don't think it's real substantive, but I didn't want it to seem like we were doing more business after we already voted on it. So the only amendment I would make was that we move it ahead of the motion, if that's what happened. I didn't go back and watch the meeting to see.
Can you go back and check it, Tracy? Okay.
Great, thanks.
The only correction I had is that the first selectman was not in attendance at that meeting. Are there any other corrections? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor as amended?
Aye.
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 Abstain, wasn't present.
Item number 2, the special meeting minutes of April 23rd, 2024. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Discussion, corrections?
Just on page 4, I haven't gotten there yet, page 3. The third paragraph, or the second full paragraph, is one that starts as a one-time. I think it should just be as a one-time revenue instead of revenues.
Revenue source, actually.
Right.
I couldn't hear you,
Exactly.
Amy, what?
Revenue source.
Yep.
That's on both words.
I have a few changes from Mike Ailes. Page 3, on the second full paragraph, Mr. Ailes refuted claims he wants to insert from a text regarding the average of 19 administrative salaries, so it removes the word about. Further down, he asked for, let me count the paragraphs, 1, 2, 3, third paragraph down. The initial combined budget presented to the Board of Finance was 4.25%, and the tax increase was 4.32. The numbers are transposed. Page 4, Mike thought you'd catch it. The second paragraph, Jeff. Dig yourself a big hole.
I caught that.
Yeah.
I was gonna mention that.
And then, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth paragraph, Mr. Ailes went over the Board of Ed increases for the past 6-year period. And in the last sentence, except for 2021 to 2022, which they missed by, he wants to change, it's not 0.1%, it was 0.01%. And I think those were all his corrections.
I just had one a little further up on that same page. In
Yep.
the paragraph that begins, Dr. Balistraci said, the second sentence that says they did not hire permanent people or positions, I think it should be either with that money or with those monies, one or the other, just so it matches.
Anybody else?
On page 5, I'm sorry, one other, the paragraph that begins, it's the the paragraph that begins, Ms. Scanlon, it said, this line says, started learning on a computer and social and emotional intelligence is part of education and overall student.
Oh, yeah. Okay, anybody else? All those in favor as amendment?
Aye.
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 Okay, moving on. If my mouse will work. Item number 3, correspondence, standing building committee minutes of May the 7th. Is Dave DeMayo on? He is not. Are there any questions or comments people want to make on this?
I don't think so. None that I see.
No, there's nothing.
I would note that on
Yeah.
item 9, that the contract has been signed with ORL for the 595 New England Road, so hopefully that means, and it says they'll begin work in approximately 2 weeks, which I guess would take us out to right around today, so that project seems to be underway. That's good.
Sorry, I can hear you.
It's okay. The 595 New England Road project, the
Oh,
contract's
yeah.
underway, so.
Did the project start this week?
I'm not sure.
Okay, item 3.2, pension committee minutes, monthly report. Any comments, questions? All right. 3.2, the pension fund did well.
Yeah.
Always good to see. Item number 3, OPEB minutes, the monthly report, April 17th. Any questions, comments? Boy, we're flying. Maybe we will, I know, right? And the OPEB report, you all see. Also doing very well. Item number 4, review and accept the report of expenditures for the Board of Education for April of 2024. Linda is here for us and Moira is on Zoom. Moira, can you hear us all right?
I can hear you fine, yes.
Thank
Can you
you.
hear me?
Yep, thank you.
Great. So should I go ahead?
Yep, go ahead. Thank you.
Good to see you all virtually. Yes, so I reviewed the financial report for April 2024 for the Guilford Board of Education. So I'll just run through the larger scale items and then you can ask me any questions you might have. Expenditures for the month of April 2024 were $5,240,445.34. Expenditures and encumbrances through the end of April were 78.57% of the budget as compared to last year at 79.78%. So we're tracking well compared to last year. Revenue for April 2024 was $25,110.67. And that included revenue from Medicaid, charging station revenue, non-resident tuition, pre-K tuition, and tuition from Clinton and Madison. Regarding salaries, the percentage of the budget expended is in line with the prior year. Employee benefits, the percentage of the budget expended is lower than the prior year. Purchased services, the percentage of the budget expended is higher than the prior year. There's a credit in the dues and fees line, and that's due to correction of billing error that is, and in the professional and technical services line is higher than the prior year due to the special education study, which we are conducting this year and into next year. So you'll see in the warrant there's a line for $15,000, so that's an incremental payment we're making towards the study of our special ed services. Tuition is a little bit lower than prior year. Supplies and materials is in line with last year. Capital, the percentage of the budget expended is lower than the prior year. There's a credit in the equipment instructional line, and that's due to the reimbursement we received from the capital lease for the facilities truck that we purchased. Transportation is a little bit lower than the prior year, and so the warrant we are submitting is a total of all payments for the month listed alphabetically, and the total payments detailed on the warrant are $2,409,482.14. And reviewing more complex scale, the different category of expenditures, One of the things that you'll see is that substitute teachers were already over by about $31,000. This is tracking much like last year. Post-COVID, we've had real strong need for substitute teachers. They're very hard to come by, and so we've had to incrementally raise what we offer to our substitute teachers. So that's why you're seeing that line track, and we increased our budget for next year for that very reason. In terms of other things, purchase services, we're running over in a few areas, but tracking a little bit more than last year. At the end of the day, we're running on average, according to last year, a little bit higher in terms of safety, sanitation, upkeep of buildings and grounds. It shows we're over by $573,000, but we have $330,000 of that encumbered. So that means Cliff has allotted, certain funds for certain projects that we may not see through this year. So hopefully that number will come down. If we go to supplies and materials, there's a few that are over. Textbooks, we had to make some purchases this year, so we're slightly over. And custodial is up a bit, but we have some encumbered money, so we should be okay there. But site improvements, we always run over, and we try to really allow for a budget that's about 1% of our operating expenses, but every year when budget increases have to come, that's where we take it from. So we're a little bit over, but like I said, once we know where Cliff is at the end of the year, we should be in good shape. And that's pretty much it. There's nothing really outstanding in terms of the warrant, the itemized items, but I'm happy to answer. I had all of that clarified with Linda and our operations committee in our meeting last Monday, so I'm happy to answer any questions regarding that as well.
Okay, any questions? Questions on any warrants?
I just had one question on lunchroom aides. I know it's down a little bit. I know we've heard about the difficulty hiring people for those types of positions. Is that the reason for
Yes.
for
It's a
the
little
decrease?
hard to hear you. I apologize. Maybe
I'm
I
sorry.
didn't-
The lunchroom aid budget line is down compared to
Yeah.
last year, and we've heard that it's in part because of the difficulty finding people to fill those positions. I just was asking if that was the reason why it was down to the extent it was. So.
We did increase the budget on that line in hopes that we could get people, because we wanted to free up the teachers from having to cover lunchroom duties. So we had increased the budget to allow for more positions, and then we're not able to hire anybody. We do hire them, they tend to not stay very long or take other positions. So that's why it's down.
Thanks.
And if I may, the eye is always attracted to the biggest numbers and site improvements. How would you characterize what's going on there? Are these things that just, are there projects, or are this just general maintenance, or what are the components?
Yeah. Linda can answer, but I would say, Cliff every year projects out the things that need to get done. None of this is fancy new initiatives. Very often it's just maintenance or, things that come up that need repair or just life cycle needs. And so, but there's projects that spring up every year that we could never have anticipated. We have at Adams, we have a kind of underground spring and drainage issue that just manifested itself this year. We couldn't have predicted it, so we're working towards resolving that. There's probably some expenses in that line around that. Linda could probably speak to some others, but, in the world of maintenance and construction and project, you can never really have a crystal ball, but most of these are just planned projects, with the exception of a few things that just come up throughout the year.
Okay, you kind of put your finger on it for me, because the word improvements is kind of,
Yeah,
raises the
some
question
that-
as opposed to maintenance
Yeah, it's,
or repair.
ideally, it would be improvements to the building.
Yeah.
It, a lot of times, is just repairs to the building.
Right, okay.
So it's broken water pipes, it's trying to fix the driveway entrance at Adams, or it's sidewalk repairs, or it's carpet replacement, which half the time we don't end up doing because we're spending the money on other projects. Carpet gets pushed off. It's painting, it's tile replacement, it's repairing bathrooms.
It's ownership.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
It's like owning 9 houses
Any other
on a
questions?
much bigger scale.
Comments? Okay, I would like like a motion to approve the expenditures for the Board of Education for the month of April 2024 in the amount of $5,240,445.34.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Moira.
Thank you both.
Well done. Thanks, everyone.
Item number 5, review and report on the expenditures for town government for April 2024. And our finance director, Mary Jane, is here. Good evening, Mary Jane. Would you like to start with revenues?
Absolutely. So at the end of April, we are 83.3% through the year. We have brought in over 100% of our budget so far. We've talked about a lot of the line items month after month, but we have a number of departments who have brought more in than anticipated for the whole year. We are expecting some more state aid. If you remember, that's the $900,000 that we will have in surplus in that line item. I am anticipating approximately $1.7 million in revenue surplus at the end of the year, of which close to $1 million is attributed to those special grants that we received this year. Any particular questions on revenue?
If you don't mind my saying, I was asked by 2 members of the Golf Commission to mention that they had a $42,000 month, which was extraordinary for a cold, dark, dreary, and wet April. So they have high hopes to beat that in May.
Yes, and the overall, the golf course has already brought in more than their anticipated revenue for the year.
Yep.
Yes.
We don't want to talk about profit centers or anything.
It's not good commercial.
The fire department's doing very well, too.
Yeah.
Point out.
Yes,
Yep.
they typically have the revenue to offset the expenditures, because as our calls increases our expenditures and our replacements on one side, but fortunately, the revenue offsets that on the other side.
Moving on to expenses.
Okay, on the expenditure side, overall, we are 82.2% expended, which is just about where we were this time last year. Here you'll see the fire department is a little bit higher than the 83. They're at 91% expended this year, but it is lower than where they were last year. So that's a plus. Again, they do have increased calls, which shows on the revenue side, and balances here to the expenditure side. Other than that, the majority of our budgets are right in line or even slightly under. I'll just again note that the capital line has some items in there that will be funded from fund balance, which we'll be doing at the end of the year, so that line item will be made whole by the end of the year. Any particular questions on expenditures?
Any questions on any of the warrants, whether weekly or special fund? Moving on to the medical report.
Okay, so medical, you'll see for April, our claims, we had another high month of claims, 1.4 million. Exactly what we do expect the second half of the year, as deductibles have been paid off and the expense is now borne by the fund. So we are doing well on our claims overall, however. So if we look at catastrophic claims, we had a big jump, over $1 million from March to April, now at $4,040,000, just shy of $500,000 covered by ISL, bringing us to 35%, which is a better percentage than where we've been other years at this time. Revenue is always pretty steady. You'll see that our projected surplus is only $237,000, which is a minor percentage of the overall fund. I will note, however, if the months of May and June continue to be like April and May, we're looking at a potential of $800,000 more in claims than budgeted, which may put us in a deficit, which of course we are able to absorb because of the fund balance, but the potential is there. One more thing on the catastrophic claims, I'd just like to talk about the covered members. On covered members over 75,000 increased this month by 5, and over the 150, we had an increase of 3, which represents, why there was such a large increase in claims.
And that's almost half the numbers who are over 150.
Yes.
So
Yep.
it's a substantial increase.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Mary Jane? Going once? Twice? Can I have a motion to approve the expenditures for the town of Guilford for the month of April in the amount of $2,596,593?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mary Jane. Do you want to stay up there? We'd just love to. All right. Before we go on to item number 6, I wanted to go back to the Board of Ed. I neglected to say we all received the tuition report. And did we have any questions for Linda regarding that?
No, just that it seems like it's on target
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the right direction, so.
Yes.
I just have one question, not on the tuition so much as, when do we get the last payment of ESCS?
The excess cost grant comes at the end of May.
The end of May, okay. Thank you. All right, item number 6. Discuss and take action on the additional fee related to CLA statement of work related to the implementation of new risk auditing standards. CLA, for those in the audience, is our auditing firm. There was an email and then an attachment talking about the additional work. Mary Jane, you want to talk about it? Give us an overview?
Sure. So I did receive a call from our new partner. We have Nicoletta. Again, many of you have worked with her in the past. According to her, the CLA is asking all of their clients for an additional fee specific to the 4 auditing standards that she refers to in her email. So I took it upon myself to go and look up what those were, and probably not too exciting reading, but I did provide an at-a-glance look at all 4 of those for you to review, so you could see what they were asking for. Every year I have to sign a statement of work for their services. These additional services are listed in that statement of work. It's one little line item that says they have to do it, but they will charge us for this. It should be a one-time thing. Once all of the work is done this year, to get us up to speed on these standards, then it just will be review in future years. Of course, we are going out to bid this year for auditing services, but that is the information that I received from CLA, so I am here bringing this request forward to you.
Go ahead, Bob.
Well, just normally in the accounting, the regulatory world, these things tend to get signaled years in advance, and they seem to have been caught by surprise. Do you share that assessment?
Well, so if you read the at-a-glances, some of them do refer to prior,
Yeah.
prior
And
notice.
and yet they didn't flag this.
Correct, I would agree.
Okay.
It feels like a creative way to ask for more money like they did last year after the fact.
After we voted to
Yeah.
review them, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where my question is, because it's in the statement of work. at the very end on page 12, they include SAS 143 to 145, and then SAS 148, for a total of the 3,500, for a total of the $80,500. So what did we agree on?
77, I think.
Is that what it is? So that's where they're coming up with
Correct.
wanting the 3,500?
Yes.
But that was an increase in and of itself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
I will be honest and let you know that I spoke to her, told her that this may not go over well with our Board of Finance because of the history we've had the past couple years. All I can say is if you have additional questions, we could easily invite them in to discuss it. Unfortunately, I don't know any more than what I've provided for you today.
Did they provide a statement of work prior to that corresponds with the original quote? Or is it only after the fact of what they
I get
have
one
to
every year. So it typically mirrors what's in that, what we've originally agreed to. So this year, it just has that added line.
do? But you didn't get, like, we're going to do these regulatory items in that 75,000?
In the 77.
Or
I think
77,
no.
yeah, it's-
Oh,
it's- you
no,
don't
I was
get
unaware of this
an-
extra work
an
until the
itemized
date of
list.
that email.
Yeah.
It's the first I was aware of any additional work required on their end.
I don't know. I mean, at what point do they just have to eat the cost?
Yeah.
In our previous discussions about this, terms like unprofessional came up, and this seems to sit right back in that same bucket. It wouldn't, and it seems, although it seems churlish to make them, come down here and explain this to us, because I think we're gonna end up having to pay the money. I'm of a mood to have them come down here and explain themselves to us.
There is time.
I would agree with that. We've got time.
There is time.
Make it work
Yes.
for it.
And we can develop, it gives us a little time to develop the odd question and drill a little deeper, but I was
It
probably
was
more
not-
surprised than you.
It was not easy for me to put this on the agenda.
Well, we're not having to go with you.
I know.
It's an observation about the relationship and the way that they've conducted themselves.
But
And
I think, Bob, it has a valid point. I think it's incumbent upon this board to do our due diligence. So I would not be opposed to recommending that we ask them to come before us and explain.
walk us through this.
Yeah.
I will invite her to come to the next meeting.
Lovely.
I do know, just as a point of clarification, that the chairman also felt the same way, but he was not adamant about the $3,500. He realizes we most likely have to pay it.
One of the issues
Well,
that I have is the timing.
Right.
I mean, we're already scheduled, we're already scheduled for them to come in. I've already been providing them information for the audit,
It's a pattern that's happened with them.
Right.
That's frustrating because we had the
Right,
experience
if
last
they hadn't
year.
come back the last 2 years, then this maybe would have been a slam dunk, so to speak, right?
To me, this is just you bid at an inaccurate amount of money, and you should have just bid the project at what you knew it cost. And so for me, it's like they should absorb the $3,500 at this point.
Yeah,
Particularly when these new initiatives aren't just
New.
all that new.
Right.
so just for clarity, in case anybody having a look, if we say no, what happens?
They don't do
I'm
that.
not sure. If they don't do the work, then it goes against us.
Well, they've got, in theory, they have to do the work. And in theory, they would have known that they would have had to do the work. And to come at the 11th hour once again and say, we've known about this, we haven't told you about this, we'd like to charge you for this. We can't say no. I reckon that we need to under these new standards, we're being told that by law we need to have these done?
Yeah, so these are standards set on the auditors to do with us. These aren't like the standards that I know I have to meet. You know, so it's a little
Got
bit
it. Right, right.
backwards for me.
Right.
You know, we're always aware of
Okay.
the standards.
All right.
I told you the last couple of years, we're gonna have to do this. We've added
Right.
software because we knew what was
Right.
coming.
Right.
I know. Well, now,
I won't say that there won't be a time that I come and go, whoa, I missed something, you know, so, you know, I'll be the first to say I can easily make a mistake.
Right.
However, typically, you know these things are coming.
Right.
These are the things that I wouldn't necessarily look to be aware of, and maybe I need to start doing that, I don't know, but, because it's from their end, you know what I mean?
no, I've started asking you questions I should be asking them. And if we know that they're going to come in, then we can move it, you know, wait till
Absolutely
then.
make the
And I
invitation.
don't necessarily think that we have to pay it. I mean, I've dealt with plenty of auditors and we've had a similar situation where I just said, no, we have this contract and you gotta honor it, and they honored it. But I feel like not a lot of people call them out on that.
It's easy to call me.
Well, we know we're gonna see you every
Yeah,
I mean, or is it worth losing $77,000 over $3,500 at the end of the
Right.
day?
Or damaging a relationship,
It's already
Well, that's dust already.
you know.
It's almost 1750, call it a day.
That's what I was kind of thinking, maybe we could have it with them. Split it.
So is my sense from this board that we want to table this and request that the CLA come to us
No.
hopefully at our next meeting?
Yeah.
Somebody want to make that as a motion?
I'll move we table the
Thank you, Jeff.
decision on this request and also request that CLA attend our next month's meeting to discuss it further with us.
second.
Any other discussion, further discussion? All those in favor?
Madam Chair,
Yes?
can I suggest that you ask for a senior partner to come with
It would
Nicoletta?
be Nicoletta.
Nicoletta is going to be the
Yes.
partner.
It would be Nicoletta. Yes.
I just think there's an interesting juxtaposition between the fact that we're having our audit partner removed, replaced, if you would. I don't know if there's any correlation between the two of those things at this point. So I would, and I think Nicoletta needs to be prepared to answer these kind of questions. So any questions you have in advance should probably be submitted to her, right? And then at the end of the day, I thought I saw in this document that the scope of services was dated 2022, right? When did these changes come about? They come about prior to or after 2022? And to your point, you can't afford to lose $77,000 because you guys have already appointed them
Yes.
as the auditor. You had 90 days prior to June 30th to do that. So they're our auditor of record. And I would also ask Nicoletta to define what happens if we don't pay for that $3,500 in services. What does that do to our audit? Would we be in a non-compliant status with the state of Connecticut if those functions are not performed?
That's a good point, because part of what we've had with our reports that we've received is that they've been of a quality where we're doing the necessary
Careful.
research, we're doing all the steps that we need to do, and if we skip over it this year because of this issue, what does that say to the people who are going to actually look at our audit and say, are we doing what we should be doing?
And that's what I
down
mean,
here?
it's a reflection on us.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not going to be a
Ultimately.
reflection on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
What's
But
the
my
old line?
question
what
What's the
did
old
they
line?
know and when did they know it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one, some rob you with a 6-gun, others with a fountain pen.
Exactly right.
Who's their main competitor?
RSM,
Yeah.
Bloom Shapiro, are they
No,
still?
no,
is
this
Bloom
is Bloom Shapiro.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
Bloom
This is the merger.
Yeah, this is the merger.
Does Cone Resnick do it?
I can't help but think that the fact that they're now part of a national firm has contributed some of
Yeah.
the challenges we've had over the last 5 years or so with them. When they were a Connecticut-based firm, this stuff never happened.
Sure.
But along with what Bob just mentioned and you, Mr. First Selectman, the statement of work is dated April 11th, and then the email is dated July. I think it was July.
It's
Oh,
May.
excuse me, May.
May.
Yeah,
Oh.
so it's like closing the barn door after,
Well, I beg to differ. The first line in the statement of work says that the statement of work is under the master service agreement
Not
dated
yet,
August
master
3rd,
services
2022.
agreement.
August of 2022.
But they at least knew about this a month before they notified you, is that what you're saying with the email and date?
that.
yeah, I mean.
Yeah, no, that's what Veronica's.
Yeah, and the April,
April 11th and then May 6th, almost a full month.
the April 11th was not within the 90-day window that you had to appoint an auditor either.
Right.
But it's not just that, you see these coming for months and months and months.
Yeah, it's not new. I
No.
mean, they're,
Nobody gets caught by surprise by accounting
Yeah.
expenses.
I know, 2020 was,
so we didn't take a vote, right? We have a motion, we have a second, we had discussion. Anything further? All those in favor of tabling signify by saying aye.
yeah.
Okay. Item number 7, consider and take possible action to re-engage Rob Nevins and the Slim Nation program for the town and Board of Education employees.
I'd like to make a motion that we say yes.
Are you making that motion?
I am.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion?
The
Yeah,
fee,
you all have statements from employees about how beneficial the program has been. The amount is $34,000. So is there?
Up to, that's the max.
Yeah, the max. Is there a motion to approve to re-engage Rob Nevins not to exceed $34,000?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I just think we know an awful lot about the program, and they've never skipped a beat. I think it's just great.
And like I said, the survey results with the comments that we're getting back from our employees have all been very beneficial.
Yeah, I highlighted some of them
Yeah.
in my memo. You know, certainly it's not 100%, but no program is ever going to be 100%, but the majority of the people who have been participating, certainly we've been seeing the benefits.
And as we've talked about in the past, included among, aside from the benefits that the employees are seeing directly on improved quality of life and better, I mean, there is a financial component to the town where it helps
Right.
our employees' health and reduces the claims made under our
It's
health insurance
definitely a
policy.
win-win, and if, you know, now that we allow spouses, you know, if we have an unhealthy spouse and we can make the spouse somewhat healthier, maybe I'm not taking as much time off. You know, there's a lot of,
Other benefits.
You
So
know-
unquantifiable, but I think
Yeah.
we're very much in favor of it.
yeah, well, we're eventually going to run out of employees, you know, but as long as we're meeting those numbers, you know, we'll probably continue to come back. It's the number one thing people talk about. Even the people that did it the very first time, it's still topic of conversation. You know, when we have a birthday party, everybody wants to know who's eating the cake. So, my point is, it doesn't end after the 6 months. We've seen that, it just continue, and that's the whole idea behind the program.
Has participation maxed out every time you've offered it?
Yes,
Yeah.
I believe so on,
Both sides.
Both sides. Mhm.
And we're not basing this decision on just 1 year's experience. We've now had several years'
Several years.
experience to see that.
Yes.
So,
But what happens when you run out of people?
We offer
Well,
it to boards and commissions.
We'll never run out.
We might, because we have,
I know
It's
you
'cause-
do. You can move to the state employee health plan because they do it.
We do get the pension report every month.
but, you know, we have new employees that come on board, and, you know, it's discussed during that, you know, that it's an opportunity, so.
Those new employees are keeping Mitch so busy that on the plan, he hasn't weighed this little since he was in high school.
Anyway,
So we voted on it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you.
We need to go over the tax collector.
Yeah, do you want? Yes, you got more.
Tax collector.
Don't move. Item number 8, receive and take action on the tax collector's recommendation of uncollectibles to be transferred to the suspense list. You all got the cover letter and signed by our tax collector.
So the only thing that I always like to say during this discussion is, even though we might send some of our collections to suspense, meaning it doesn't go against our collection rate, we never stop looking to collect those monies. You'll see right in your budget, there is a line item for suspense. We're always bringing money in. So I just don't ever want people to think we put these in suspense, we forget about them, and they kind of get a pass. That is absolutely not the case at all. We do continue to collect. It's just a ruling that we're able to take advantage of so that our collection rate is based solely on more imminent collections.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation from the tax collector of uncollected taxes to be transferred to suspense as outlined in the memo dated May 16th, 2024, from the tax collector in the amount of $110,122.43?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Anybody have any questions?
Do we need to do it item by item, or can we just do it as one? Okay, great.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary Jane. Number 9, committee reports, building permits. We're on fire. 10 months in, and we've exceeded all of last year's building permits. Are there any comments or questions?
And they're big ones.
Item number 10, old business. Item number 11, new business.
Michael's joined us.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Ailes for the meeting.
Mr. Ailes has joined us.
Just in time.
Good time to see how short the meetings are.
Yeah. Item number 12, public forum, limited 2 items, 2 minutes on any item. There's nobody in the audience and nobody on Zoom. Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
But we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Oh, do we want to?
They won't air in time. No.